Hey, what's up guys? Bajheera here. Now for this video, these are going to be some Arms Warrior duels that we were having in the order hall for warriors. This is a quick look at my specialization, which is basically just a PvE spec. Now, I don't do a whole lot of duels in general, but recently I've been having a lot of fun kicking butt in the warrior order hall with viewers and stuff, so in addition to sort of just sharing some of those duel sessions with you guys, I figured I'd do some commentary as well and sort of walk you through what I'm doing. So first things first, up against a Fury Warrior. A lot of times I'll just go ahead and start off with a stun to get their trinket, because that allows you to disarm them with their trinket, things like that. I'm going to parry his burst instantly, trinket his Stormbolt, and with parry up and sharpen on top of everything, the Warrior's just going to go down. Fury Warriors pretty much, I would say, get countered by Arms Warriors, but there's one thing that's worth noting about that duel, which is that I wasn't wearing what I usually wear, which is the little bit of a defensive setup, right, with the Pride As and the Manaroth's bracers for the healing and the shielding. Because a little bit of tankiness in these kind of duels is nice for two reasons. One, I'm doing these back-to-back, so being able to heal myself between duels. This guy just didn't really battle back. But being able to heal myself between duels is nice. Also, there's another situation where if you run into another warrior who's playing the shield and heal legendary setup, and you guys are of equivalent gear or so, if you don't have the shield and heal setup, then it's very likely that you could just get muscled down and just beaten down basically by the fact that they're going to be able to out-tank you. So that just gives me a little bit of longevity in duels and between duels, so I can just keep going back to back and hold down the arena. But this is going to be against another Fury Warrior. And as I was mentioning before, there's two things that you want to keep in mind when dueling Fury Warriors, is that they have big offensive cooldowns, which is like one-shot burst, right, with their Battle Cry, Avatar, Odin's Fury, and whatnot. And then they also have their Enraged Regen, which is going to allow them to heal a ton. So you have a lot of tools to mitigate those two cooldowns as an Arms Warrior. So keep in mind, for their offensive cooldowns, obviously if you have parry up, that's going to really negate everything. And that's definitely a good thing to do. If you get stunned and you see cooldowns up, you may as well just go ahead and trinket parry, and then they won't really be able to do much damage to you at all. You also have the option of disarming their cooldowns, and that's always a good option. It doesn't necessarily like save you, since they still have a couple seconds of cooldowns left at the end of it all, but disarm is great. In terms of their defensive cooldowns, you can parry their regen, you can disarm their enraged regen so they can't attack you, right? So the parry makes it so they can't bloodthirst you, so they don't get any healing. The parry makes it so they can't attack at all, and then of course you can sharpen blade. So usually, I wouldn't necessarily recommend parrying their enraged regen, but you could, because you usually want parry for their cooldowns, but you can disarm the beginning of their regen and then sharpen the rest of the regen, and that'll make it so they don't get any use out of that cooldown. Well, they get a little bit of use with the sharpened blade, because they can attack you, but it'll just do a lot less healing, so that's good. But I'm not really walking you through the duels at this point, just sort of giving you some general tips here. Those are the main things against a Fury Warrior. Against another Arms Warrior, we might have to wait till we actually get an Arms Warrior duel, but I might not be demonstrating it exactly, but here I do see the cooldowns coming out for the Fury Warrior, so I'm instantly going to disarm those, which is going to get me out of the Battle Cry. But my health is still pretty low, and I'm a little bit scared because I don't have parry. Basically, if you don't have parry against a Fury Warrior, things get really scary. So I'm really low health. I'm going to Rally and Cry. I get feared because he knows that I'm trying to get some heals out right now. Basically, how I'm getting heals is I'm just spamming Whirlwind. So I'm trying to leap away to get as much healing as I can. I drop a War Banner down to try to create some distance and also, you know, reduce the time of being Stormbolted or Charge Rooted. But you'll see that I'm getting some shields, I'm getting some heals, and that is allowing me to stay in this fight and actually able to even secure the kill, although he does have his little Fury Warrior proc. So if this ever happens to you, if Fury Warriors get their proc, you need to try to, you know, kite them around and slow them down as much as possible and get out of there. And you'll notice me throwing down a War Banner. The reason I like to use War Banner in these duels is because, for a couple reasons. One, you can, so right now, I've defeated all challengers and I have to wait until they can come back in here, but it gives me a chance to sort of discuss a few things with you guys. So War Banner, the best way to do that is you can hopefully War Banner a Stormbolt, and that would be like if you have trinkets for a Stormbolt, that's cool, because even if you War Banner a Stormbolt, if a Fury Warrior is popping cooldowns on you, they don't need much more than 2 seconds to do a lot of damage to you. So I would still recommend trinketing that, but a Stormbolt like in battle is a good idea. I don't mean battle stance necessarily. If you get Stormbolt in battle stance, definitely trinket that. But once you guys have been battling for a little while and a Stormbolt comes back up on cooldown, War Bannering that second Stormbolt is pretty good when they don't have cooldowns up for you, something like that. Also, War Bannering to allow you to more easily create distance to get a charge, or allow you to more easily keep them close to you so they can't charge you, sort of dead zone them a little bit. That's always good too. So we're fighting this Fury Warrior. He pops cooldowns. Now, you'll notice that sometimes I'm not sort of following that if this than, like, he popped cooldowns, and if he pops cooldowns, then I will trinket parry. I didn't do that this time, because I am dueling back to back to back, and so sometimes I know that, say, this Fury Warrior isn't necessarily geared enough, or, you know, he's not doing quite enough damage to warrant a parry. I can survive this and save parry for one of the mythic geared Fury Warriors that I was dueling. So you gotta take that with just a little bit of a grain of salt. If I know that somebody's not gonna be able to do enough damage to me, then I'll save my parry for that situation. But against somebody who's equally geared as a Fury Warrior, or out-geared as a Fury Warrior, if they have good gear, you need to be able to parry and get out of that situation, because that gets really scary. Now, up against an Arms Warrior, things get a little bit different. Obviously, as an Arms Warrior, you're going to want to disarm their cooldowns. That's great. Keep in mind, though, that an Arms Warrior is likely to just Blade Storm that. So if they if they stun you, pop cooldowns, you know, Trinket Disarm is one way to deal with that. But then they're just going to be Blade Storming you with cooldowns up, and it's still going to do a lot of damage. So the sketchy thing is that you probably just want to Trinket parry out of Arms Warrior cooldowns, because that way you're actually going to be able to force pressure, and you'll get a defensive out of them, even if you don't pop cooldowns back. So that's probably the ideal situation, is if like, I know it sounds weird, but if you actually get stunned first, sometimes that's nice, because they're going to stun you and pop cooldowns, but you should still probably try to get the first stun, just wouldn't use your cooldowns yet. So out of getting stunned and having them pop cooldowns, or whenever they pop cooldowns, just go ahead and parry, because you're going to be able to turn the pressure back on them and have to force their parry. Because if you have parry up for 12 seconds and they don't decide to do, if they try not to, stand in front of you, you're just going to kill them. And if they try to run away from you, then that's when things get a little bit weird, because you have your parry up and they're running. But usually you can chase them, because they've hopefully haven't used overly, like, I mean, they can leap away, but you can leap to follow and charge them and still get damage on them. So oftentimes they're going to actually force their parry as well. So both parries are out of the game at that point, but you still have your offensive cooldowns if you are the one who got stunned and waited for them to pop cooldowns on you. So I don't know if that's what's going to happen here. We'll see. He stuns me, doesn't have any cooldowns yet, at least, so I'm just going to get out of this. He parries and pops his own offensive cooldowns, which is going to mean that I'm just going to try to dead zone him. Didn't quite get, I got too far away, basically. But I can stun him on his parry, and then he's gonna trinket out of that. Got a hamstring up on the very end of it, so once again, he just didn't do enough damage to me, which is going to allow me to pop cooldowns. He has no parry. I can even disarm him later, so he can't do more damage to me. But more than likely, I'm going to save my disarm for this next warrior. But the Arms Warrior duel is a little bit, I mean, obviously it's a mirror, so it's a little bit different than a Fury Warrior duel. But basically, if you are stuck in front of a warrior who's parrying, like, you can try to get away from a warrior who's parrying, but I would recommend that you, a lot of times you're just going to have to parry for parry. That's kind of how it works, and then you have to outplay after that. So I'm going to throw down a War Banner here against another Arms Warrior, because I'm thinking he's going to try to Stormbolt me at some point soon. He does have Avatar up. I need to Stormbolt him because I'm getting a little bit low. I still have my parry, I still have Disarm, so I'm pretty safe. But at this point, I'm mostly just going to try to Whirlwind to get my health back, because, I mean, even any Arms Warrior, even if you don't have the Healing Legendary, you can still Whirlwind to try to proc your Soul to Slaughter healing buff. So I'm going to Trinket this, not necessarily out of necessity, but just because I feel like it. Now, I am going to parry for parry him here. So I Trinketed out of his Stormbolt, and he parried. So I'm just going to go ahead and parry too, so that he can't finish me off. I mean, even though I had a pretty good lead in this duel already, but parry for parry just means that both your health is essentially frozen. Now, you can do things like take that as an opportunity to, obviously, if you get stunned while you're parried, you can still have damage done to you. You can do damage to other people if you stun them while they're parry, but that's an opportunity. If it's parry for parry, that's an opportunity for you to, like, fear, get some distance and charge, just to come out of that situation with some advantage, even if it's just a rage advantage. Because the rage advantage is still potentially a healing advantage. It's kind of RNG, whether you proc if you don't have the healing bracers, but if you have the healing bracers, you will still heal for a percentage of your HP, even if it's not a ton. So we were up against a Fury Warrior here, and this is one of the problematic situations. I decided to get cute and parry the Arms Warrior, even if I didn't really need to. Although I did get a kind of a collateral victory rush there, which kind of helps pad the meters in terms of my chances of success here. I did disarm the Fury Warrior's cooldowns, though. And so at this point, I have a huge health advantage. He does pop, like, I guess he got a pretty big heal. I'm not sure if that was regen or not, but he got a pretty big heal off of that. I do have Sharpen up again. I'm not sure if I think he regened earlier. Maybe that was the end of his regen there. I wasn't paying attention just right now. I'm going to go ahead and Sharpen the very end so I can try to limit his very end of his healing and try to get a kill. It looks like he has his Valkyrie proc again, so we just need to kind of go hit the next guy. I'm not going to just kind of kite him around and wait for him to die. So my health is okay. I'm just going to Bladestorm them both here. Bladestorm the Warrior's Fear. Looks like he had tried to slow me into my Bladestorm too. He creates distance. I would go ahead and Warbanner the charge route so it's shorter. Sometimes I would expect them to stun me off of that. He does pop his cooldowns. I do get the Stormbolt half duration thanks to Warbanner. I can get him slowed. I can try to just, you know, kite back around just a little bit. He does have regen up now, which hopefully I would have either a Stormbolt or a disarm. So he trinkets my Stormbolt. It would be great if I disarmed him there, but I'm just going to create distance instead and pop cooldowns and sharpen the rest of his regen there. It would have been great if I would have Stormbolted him and then disarmed him. That's another thing. Keep in mind that against Arms Warriors, if you get disarmed, you can't parry. So if they have already used Bladestorm at some point, it is an opportunity for you to hopefully get their trinket with a stun at some point. And then if they get low health and it's a situation where they probably should parry, you go ahead and just disarm instantly. And that is one of those ways to deal with like the opener. If you get the stun first, stunning and then into a disarm is a reasonably good option, because that's going to put them in a position where they don't have Bladestorm with cooldowns unless they just pop cooldowns. That might even be the play. Is if somebody stuns you into a disarm, you just pop cooldowns and Bladestorm, because then it's gonna they will have to run or parry, and if they run, then they're gonna have their leap already out of the game, and you can charge them. You can just cancel your Bladestorm and charge them with cooldowns up again, which hopefully should still get their parry. Because that's pretty much how you lose Arms Warrior duels. If you don't parry fast enough, if you think that you can hold it, and then you lose half of your HP in a single burst, it's not worth it. Another thing that you can do is this dead zoning technique. You'll notice that when the other warrior popped Battle Cry, I had a hamstring on him, but he didn't have a hamstring on me, so it allowed me to continue to move in and out of range of him, so he wasn't able to attack me with melee range because I was too far away, but he also couldn't charge me because I was too close, so it's a neat technique. It's nothing new, but it's definitely worth mentioning, because it's one of those things that you can use to outplay an overgeared opponent, perhaps. But you do want to get a situation where if you use your parry, you really want to force them to use their parry as well. Because if you're stuck, obviously, if they have parry, if an Arms Warrior is facing another warrior doesn't have parry, it's a rough situation for the one that doesn't have parry, and that's why Fury Warrior duels are so rough. So I'm still on DR here from the other one, but I actually don't, not in a rude way, but I don't respect this warrior's cooldowns here. I Warband the Fear. I don't even need to Bladestorm his disarm. I know that he doesn't have the healing setup that I have. I have a little bit better gear than him too, which is going to allow me to sort of take him out. As soon as he's done Bladestorming, I'm going to Stormbolt him. I'm going to go ahead and think about popping cooldowns here, which forces his parry. So once again, I don't really want to parry here, so I'm going to fear him, and I'm going to dead zone him. Or I'm going to try to. He instantly gets out of that. Didn't necessarily do a great job dead zoning, but he's only able to whirlwind me right now. He's trying to step back for a charge. He does get it. But still, we come out of this situation where he used all of his offensives and defensives, and my health is still looking good. And now, to address the sort of gear idea, I mean, World of Warcraft for a long, long time has been a pretty gear-dependent game. And for the fact that gear actually does matter in situations like this, doesn't really bother me too much. I mean, like, once again, when I'm dueling people with mythic gear and I'm losing, you know, because of being out-geared, it's like, well, it's a situation of like, yeah, you know, I'm losing because of gear, but it's like, okay, I guess I need to go hit the raids and get some better gear, or go, you know, keep farming arena and get better gear. So I don't really mind that too much. I've always been a fan of the fact that, you know, if you're willing to put in time and effort into the game, your character, not only do your skills improve, but your character's power gets improved as well. I don't really mind that so much. So the fact that I'm able to have some nice gear and do some good damage and have some good survivability as a result of that, it's just kind of fun. It makes it feel like an MMO for me. But once again, so we killed the Arms Warrior. Good thing we saved parry. I did have a trinket there, but since it was already half DR, I didn't feel like trinketing out of it. I do disarm the end of the cooldowns. Took off my shield, still did a lot of damage to me, and I'm still getting chunked by the Fury Warrior, so I am going to go ahead and parry there. I probably didn't need to, realistically. I probably just could have Stormbolted it and been fine. But you know, once again, this warrior definitely has a little bit of gear, and so I definitely wanted to respect that. They're gonna trinket my Stormbolt, and now I don't really have any CC, so I'm gonna try to just do a little bit of dead zoning just to only have whirlwind damage be taken by me, and allows me to do some whirlwind healing of my own and wait for Mortal Strike to come back up, so I can keep cranking some DPS. So the warrior does use their Rallying Cry there. I'm gonna throw down a War Banner, which does catch the Stormbolt, so that means it's a half duration Stormbolt again. So the first one was the Yard, the second one was War Banner, so I don't have to trinket in this duel, which is good, because I need, once again, I'm saving cooldowns for other duels. The scary thing is, this warrior's cooldowns come back up again, because Fury has, like, you know, cooldown reduction on their cooldowns with Rampage and stuff. So I'm going to step away, and I'm going to step back in Stormbolt into a disarm at the end of the Stormbolt, big Sharpened Blade Mortal Strike, and secure the kill there right before the Fury Warrior is able to get some healing done. So that was pretty spooky stuff. But now in this very last duel, I had to fight 2 Fury Warriors back to back. And this is the most geared one of them all, so this one was a little bit spooky. I don't have Disarm, I don't have Parry, I don't have Rallying Cry, so things aren't necessarily looking great. I'm going to get Stormbolted. Trinketing this would be fine, but the reason I didn't trinket is because I didn't see cooldowns come out. Ideally, even if I don't have any defensives to use out of my trinket, I still wanted to have trinket available. So I'm gonna pop my cooldowns right here. Try to sharpen this enraged regen. Didn't actually sharpen it with the first one. I'll sharpen the second one because the cooldowns are coming out, but I stun him instantly on the cooldowns. So hopefully we can survive a little bit. Battle Cry still just destroying me. Trying to whirlwind for heals. Disarm's coming up in 7 seconds. I don't have parry for a minute and a half. Rally's not up either, so we finally go down. But that was a pretty nice little duel session. I think we put in... I think that some of them weren't actual duels, but we got like a couple wins in a row, like 12 wins in a row or something like that, so that was pretty cool. That's one of the reasons why I like dueling in general is fun, but I think that occupying the middle of that arena is pretty fun too. So I feel like this is a little bit of a rambly commentary, as they often are for me, and doing PvP commentary of this style. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. You know, if you guys have any more thoughts about, you know, have any questions about Warrior Duels, have any thoughts about Warrior Duels to share, definitely throw them my way. I don't think I'm an expert at Warrior Duels, but I just wanted to share some insight that I've had with you guys, because sometimes it's interesting, sometimes it's helpful, and hopefully it's fun to watch, and because it's fun for me to talk about. But either way, I definitely appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you'd like to see more, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace!